Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the South Bay Syndicate. We have something special for you today. We are going to go through the Seekers of Power leader tier list, and I have some special guests with me today. On my top left here, we have Jonathan. Jonathan, welcome.
Hey everyone. I'm excited to be here.
And in the middle, we have Tommy. You might know him as Logray, or you might see his avatar pop up from time to time. You can't help it. Tommy, how's it going?
It's going great. Excited to be here. Talk about these new leaders.
Awesome. I'm excited as well. I think Jonathan, before we get started, if you could talk us through like what does it mean to have a tier list, and what do these S through D even mean to maybe someone playing for the first time or not really understanding what a tier maker list is?
Yeah, right. I think maybe every kind of group that's kind of doing these tier lists probably have a little bit different way they rank things. But I think at least me personally, and then you guys can argue with me if you disagree.
We're looking
I think
forward to it.
S rank, yeah.
That's the favorite part.
Well, yeah. But I think S rank is like the leaders that are going to make an immediate impact on the meta, right? We are going to see rotation coming in the next set, but to me, I think this tier list is really more focused on the leaders going, now currently before rotation. So S rank leaders are immediate impact. A rank are kind of like they have a good shot. They're strong leaders. They might be missing something here or there, but they're still pretty strong. B, I think, are also pretty strong leaders, but they're maybe waiting their turn to make an impact here. Maybe they're missing a little bit of something. C, I think they're just kind of okay. They're fine leaders. They're not like you show up and instantly lose type of leaders, but they have some flaws here and there. And then D, those are the unfortunate probably trash leaders that yeah.
The leaders that Tommy
We'll see
plays
what
with.
ends up going there. Yeah, to Tommy leaders.
I will be playing those heavily. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Excited about it.
I'm great at pulling a D tier showcase. If there's one out
yeah,
there, that's the one I'm pulling. Okay, great. Thank you
yeah.
for
No
that, Jonathan.
spoilers, but
I know you have a tier list of leader art that you want to share with us. Maybe we'll get to that later. But for now, I think we'll just start with Jabba the Hutt. So I'll pull him up here before we place him in a tier. And we can talk about what Jabba does. So his ability as a leader is pay 1 and tap him. A friendly damage unit deals 1 damage to an enemy unit. And if the friendly unit has 3 or more damage on it, it deals 2 damage instead. And then it flips on
yeah.
5 and it's a 2/8. And when another friendly unit is dealt damage and survives, you may have that unit deal that much damage to an enemy unit. You use this ability only once per turn. That seems like a lot going on. Tommy, what do you think of this leader as you're initially looking at Jabba the Hutt?
Yeah, when I initially look at it, I'm looking at, paying one resource, being able to do one damage. It reminds me of things that we've seen previously that have been a little bit mid, not really super strong in that meta. So I think initially you're tossing it up in the B tier. It kind of feels kind of B/C-ish for me. I think it's nice being able to get 2 damage when it has 3 or more damage on it, but feels like that's tough to do playing behind curve.
Jonathan, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I agree. I think this is a leader that when he was initially spoiled, I'm like, oh man, this guy's pretty good. And as I kind of, played with him or played against him online, the leader side is lacking. The paying 1 to deal a damage is like, it's kind of weak. We got ping leaders that do that for free. Yeah, if you can set up the, doing 2 damage instead, that's a little bit better. Now the unit side when he's deployed, that's pretty strong, where you kind of
Mm-hmm.
ambush a unit and can kill 2 units, right? If you're ambushing the Vader from last set, that can kill up to 3 units. So that is strong, and with 8 health, deploying 5, maybe he could stick around for a couple turns. But I think personally, I think he ends up kind of a B leader, and then we'll see. He's taking the same spot as like Kira, and I think it's gonna be hard for him to replace Kira until rotation. But we'll see. I think he's interesting, and B I think is a good rank for him.
Yeah, I think what you're saying there is spot on. I think more when he's deployed is when you get the ability. And so far, what I've seen a lot of is with cunning, with like 4 alarms and other ambushers where they can start to get value. I also agree that on his non-deploy side, you're not going to see a lot of value there. Paying that 1 is going to put you behind curve and it's going to be very tough. I think B tier works. Just for the rest of it, I'm going to put each leader in the B tier before we decide where they go, just so it's in the middle of the screen. So
Okay.
we can move that around after there. After
What if that
Jabba,
influences me and makes it so that I make everyone B tier and don't want to move them?
that's what I was worried about. That's why I wanted to call it out. So
Okay,
hopefully we
just
can avoid
checking.
that going forward. Our
Yeah,
next leader, we're
and
gonna
maybe
go with.
we'll start with just one thing. Maybe we'll start with like kind of giving our rank first, and then we can kind of discuss leaders afterwards to kind of explain the rank a little bit. I think.
Yeah, I can bring them up in the corner and then move them from the bottom. So our next one that we'll
Yeah.
look at will be the kind of one of the set base leaders, which is Chancellor Palpatine. He is a much bigger leader, 7 deploy, 6/8. Before deployed, you could pay 1 for him to search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card with plot, reveal it, and draw it. And then once he's out there, his specific action is when deployed only, and the next card you play using plot this phase costs 3 less. Jonathan, what do you think of this leader?
So I guess straight out of the bat, I kind of have him in B tier. I had him under Jabba, but I could kind of be argued, either way. I think feels a lot like the Kylo leader from last set, right? Except his body isn't as impactful. Doesn't have Sentinel. Does But I think after seeing him play, I think with the plot cards are stronger than maybe I was thinking initially. So I think he's a good leader. And then the drawing, paying 1 to draw a card, as long as it has plot, I think it's a pretty good ability. So he feels a lot like Kylo. Kind of have him in the B. I think he's worse than Kylo, but I could be argued against that.
Tommy, what are your thoughts?
I think for me initially, I actually put him in C tier. I think that he came as just a worse Kylo for me. I think a 7 deploy has got to have a huge impact when he comes out. And yes, we're seeing some things with plot, but I don't think we're seeing enough with plot for that to be as impactful as those big swings that Kylo was able to do. I do think, and I know we're not there yet, but this is a leader where when we get into rotation, we can see a lot more power out of it. It's just so much hit so fast in the current meta. I have a hard time seeing this version of Chancellor Palp sticking around.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
gonna
I
be.
just don't see how this beats aggro, right? Like
Mhm.
without the Sentinel body, it's just 7 drop. It's slow. It just feels worse than the other villain. Like this is probably a green leader, right? Because of the Jar Jar plot and a few other good plot cards, the Chancellor unit plot card. So it just kind of feels worse than the other ones at the same colors.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think, in that Kira mold too. So it's going to be that blue green. It's going to be control up to that leader deploy. Now, on the deploy, you can play with that discount a number of plot cards and can really flood the board and move forward there. But you have to survive
Right.
the aggressive nature of, I think, what we're going to see this set.
Yeah. To note, it does get the Chancellor Palp unit for free, right? Because that costs 3, and this gets
Yeah.
3 costs less. That's pretty good, and that is a great unit. So it has a good shot.
Yeah, so you can get 10 costs worth of plot cards out on this deploy. And I think, to what Tommy was saying earlier, as hopefully more plot cards show up in other sets, this leader gets more and more powerful. But I do think it sounds like we're leaning right along with Jabba, maybe slightly worse. So I'll place him here in the B tier. And maybe you're right, Tommy. Maybe everything is going to be B tier. Let's see. We'll go
No,
to our
no,
I'll
he's not
also
right.
say we should hesitate on being too excited about maybe new plot cards coming because I'm still waiting for more Smuggle to come out to support my Lando, and that didn't
Oh,
really work out all that well.
we'll see.
So
That's a good
Let's see
point.
if this next leader lands in the B tier. Lama Su, she or
Spoilers,
he
no.
or it. I don't know what Lama Su is.
It's a he. It's a
He,
he.
thank you.
That's rude.
I said I didn't know. I was just asking. There's an action with no cost, so the first leader we're seeing that way. Play an upgrade from your hand on a friendly non-vehicle unit. It costs 1 less if you do deal 1 damage to a unit. And then on 6, it deploys as a 3/7. When this unit completes an attack and survives, you may play an upgrade from your discard pile on a friendly non-vehicle unit. It costs 1 less. Jonathan, what are your thoughts on Lama Su?
He's bad. That's a D. That's a D. Like
It's a D.
he's
Oh,
bad.
okay. First D.
He's the same colors as Kylo with an same kind of like upgrade. Trying to do stuff with upgrades, but it's just worse. Maybe if it could be played on vehicles, that might be a little bit more interesting, but not really. He's meant to kind of combine with grit units, or like maybe like Ogdo Bogdo, which okay, that could be interesting, but 6 cost or 6 you deploy leader with 3/7 stats is just not it. He's not good.
I remember when this one was revealed, and I remember thinking that even if the penalty on the leader side wasn't there, that I still wouldn't be that excited about it. And that really hurts, right? Like, even if it didn't say if you do deal 1 damage to that unit, I still wouldn't be that excited about this leader. So I'm with Jonathan on this one. This is pretty much straight to D tier for me.
And I think where
Quick and
they
easy.
missed here is a 6 cost 3/7. It just doesn't make sense in the current landscape of Star Wars Unlimited. There are so many 5-cost 3/7s like Quinlan out there with a better ability. If this maybe had ignore aspect penalties as part of it, you could start to see it be played much more. But I agree with the way that it was built out. It probably belongs down here in the D tier.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a leader in a different tier.
There we go. And now we're going to go to our Vigilance Heroism leader, starting with Leia. She's got a lot going on her leader side. Action, you pay 1. Disclose any aspect from your hand. If you do, give an experience token to a unit that doesn't share an aspect with the disclosed card. And then coming out on 6 as a 4/7, slightly better than Lama Su. On attack, you may disclose. And if you do, give an experience token to a unit that doesn't share an aspect with this disclosed card. Tommy, what are you thinking of Leia here?
I am not feeling Leia. I feel like we've seen a lot of experienced leaders before that have been so much less restrictive than this and still haven't seen a lot of meta play. I think about Snoke. I think about Obi-Wan. I think about, the only one I really think that got good meta play was Rey. And it was so easy to use Rey's ability. This just has so much restriction. I think Leia goes D tier for me.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
think I agree there. That one thing I will note is that she's probably okay for limited. Like, she's gonna be not a bad limited leader, but just the fact that you have to disclose a color and it can't have, like, if you're disclosing a blue heroism, you can't upgrade a green heroism unit. That's just unnecessary restriction there. I don't understand why they put that there. And then also it's kind of boring. It's just another given experience leader. Same cost as Rey. Slightly better stats than Rey, but without the restore 3, I don't see why you would play her until maybe Rey rotates out. But yeah, D tier for me.
Yeah, I can definitely see her being okay and limited as well, because you're gonna have a lot of different options and tokens do well. I think we saw with the Obi-Wan last time, being able to add experience tokens in a limited format can help you get ahead. But I agree. I think in regular play, it's going to be tough right now for Leia. Would you put her ahead or behind Lama Su?
I think she's better than Lama Su. Like
Yeah, just
yeah,
because of the
she might,
limited format.
right. She might actually be like a C tier leader, but she's just so boring that I want to put her in D tier.
All right, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, our next leader, not as boring. Let's talk about Satine, one that I've enjoyed playing with quite a bit. Her action on her leader side is heal up to 2 damage from a unit. If you do, deal that damage to your base. And then on 5, she flips as a 0/8 with restore 4. What do you guys think of this new Mandalorian official?
So I, as you know, am not a huge fan of playing the blue color, and pretty much everything about this card makes me feel annoyed, which makes me think she's probably pretty decent as a leader. I just the 0 attack on a leader, the restore 4, it's doing all things that I'm not looking to do in my decks. I typically don't go blue, so I actually think she is intriguing as a leader for what we're seeing.
Jonathan, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
and I'll disagree there. I think she's really bad. I think the only
Mm.
reason she's not going to be in D tier is because there might be like something I'm not accounting for, some random person in Europe or somewhere that's going to come up with some deck that, like, just like, oh, nobody thought about these two cards combined, and it's like, oh, okay. But now you don't want a 5-cost leader comes out 0 attack. She can't kill anything. And just a huge liability, right? Especially against aggro. Like, you're trying to kill the little, like, the little Sabine units, and she can't do anything. It's just, restore 4, cool, I guess, but they can just ignore her and just go to base, or if you're playing against control, like, okay, here's the power of the dark side, you're dead now. We're just like, she's just not doing anything to me. Like, I have her in the bottom of C tier, solely because maybe there's something I'm missing here, but I just don't see it.
I do think you're right. I think that this is going to be one of those leaders that a lot of people tinker with, and some kind of deck is going to come out like what we saw with Akbar, where people are like, "Oh, that takes a lot of work. I don't know if I want to play it, but it does win." I also think this leader is going to benefit some from plot. Most colors have some kind of plot attachment. I think about red, where you can bring out the 3/0 attachment for 3 costs. That would be great here. You can also do things like Mandalorian armor or the dark saber and really buff this unit up. You can start a game with things like Lothwolf and other Sentinels that make it really hard for them to get through, and you can heal those units to build it up. So I think there's going to be something there, but it's going to be a slower game and it's going to take some time. And in the end, I do worry that villain blue green control with a super laser blast or something is just going to reset the board, and then you won't have anywhere to go. So I think there'll be a lot of interesting tries with it, but I can see it being C, maybe low B, because I think that we've seen with Ray that Restore is a lot more powerful than people expect in the beginning. And I think in Limited, there are a number of official cards that have Restore or Sentinel that will play really well with this. And if you can get in that format this leader with the right things around it, it'll be very hard for people to get the 30 damage on your base. So I think it'll be interesting to see in Limited in a way that maybe people aren't thinking about yet.
I gotta say, I'm really excited that neither of you two like it because I know how much you two both like playing blue, and I really just don't. I would be so bummed to see this across from me on the table. So everything about this is not what I want to play.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
playing
you
it.
won't
I
see me
would move
playing
it
it.
up, but you guys both put it way down, so I had to be careful.
No, I said it. I thought it was pretty decent.
Tommy liked it.
We'll
Or
put it in
hated it,
C
I
tier
guess.
for now, but
I like it because of how much I hate it. Like,
Yeah.
but this is probably one of the leaders I'll definitely be bringing to weeklies to try and test
yeah,
out. Should be
totally.
fun.
And
Yeah,
it's
we can
gonna
always move
annoy
the
me
season
so
around.
much.
All right, that takes care of our vigilance. We got a couple of villain B tier. I think that's probably just off the power of villain blue and how much you can do with removal, and then all the heroes really falling down outside of Lamasu, who's just at the bottom and going to remain there. As we go
He tried his best.
tried his best. Into the next set, we do have Colonel Yularen, an interesting card action attack with a unit, then you may attack with another unit that costs less than it, and then a 5 cost 4/6, so already better statted I think than most of the leaders we've seen before, and comes out on 5. When this unit completes an attack, you may attack with another unit that costs 4 or less. Jonathan, what are your thoughts on Yularen?
I think he's just kind of okay. I was a little excited for him when he was first spoiled, but then, like, the ability has restrictions. It's very much like Leia from set 1, right? That's what everybody's going to compare this to. With Leia requiring Rebels, and she kind of dropped off after set 1, kind of overshadowed by Sabine, right? This is like, okay, the restriction's not so bad. You just play 2 units that don't cost the same, and then you can attack with both. It's just, you're not going to get this off until turn 3, right? And that's if they haven't dealt with either your units, and that they cost different costed units, right? It just, I don't know. He's okay. Like, I think he'll be fine. I think he's gonna be decent and limited. People are gonna try him. He's gonna be okay. Just he's not super exciting for me. I kind of have him as the top of C.
All right,
I agree that he's not very flashy. I think for me, I love action economy. I absolutely love it. I think it's, as someone that tends to play a little bit lower to the ground, it's so much advantage to it. And so I think kind of bottom of B, top of C for me, just because, again, not flashy, but being able to, and I think it's going to be easier to pull off in some ways. That dealing with that cost, I don't think will be as big a restriction. I actually think Leia started to run into issues kind of at the top end of her deck, just because it was really strong kind of through 2, 3, 4, but once you got to 5, 6, there weren't those great strong rebels. People were wanting to play Pose and Wreckers, and they didn't fit that trait. So I could see Yularen still having a little bit more staying power, plus being able to have overwhelming barrage in here at this color combination is always a powerful way to keep playing.
Barrage, that's true about Barrage, because they come out, 5 costs. You can play Barrage at 5 costs, so that is fair.
Yeah, it's interesting. He seems like every set has this villain green leader, like a Tarkin or Gideon or some kind of official that has some interesting actions that just aren't as strong as the other leaders you can play in those aspects. It'll be fun to watch if Yularen can break past that mold.
Well, that's the thing. Green leaders are like never good, right? They're just never good, because you want to pair these decks with ECL or Data Vault, and then you're playing double green, which is the worst double aspect, right? So that's something that's going to hold them back a little bit too.
It is
That's very
getting
valid.
better. I think double green is picking up a lot of momentum, and then in some of our other videos when we talk about some of the new cards, it'll be very interesting, so people want to tune in for that. Our next leader is one that seems to be getting a lot of buzz, is Dryden Voss. Action, you can discard a card that costs 6 or more from your hand. Play a unit that costs 5 or less from your hand. Paying its cost, it gains ambush for this phase. And then on 7, it flips as a 5/7 overwhelm action. Discard a card from your hand. Play a unit from your hand. Paying its cost, it gains ambush for this phase. And that action, I believe, you can do any number of times, similar to the Han 2 set ability. Tommy, what are your thoughts on Dryden Voss?
Um, I think ambush is very strong. I think this is something that, despite being a fairly high-costed leader, which isn't always something that I'm tending to do, is something that I'm excited about building a deck for. Already thinking about the different ways that you can combo around that. A lot of stuff in green that actually plays well with putting things into your discard pile, where it's not actually hurting you to be able to do that. Palp's Return being one of the big obvious ones, I think is pretty exciting for me. So I think excitement level is pretty high. Excitement level for me, kind of in between A and B. How strong he actually is hard to tell right now. So it may settle more into that B range, which bums me out a little bit because it feels like we have too many Bs.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this was a leader that I wasn't super excited about initially. I kind of just felt like, well, why don't you just play ECL or Timely? Um, but I think running into it online and online testing, it's better than I was expecting. I think it combos well, like Tommy said, with Palp's Return, but it also combos well with the Anakin unit from last set in blue. You can toss a heroism card in there now. That's amazing. He's better than I thought. I think there's a list out there that's going to be pretty good. So I have him kind of like mid to low A. And I think he's a leader that gets better after rotation when ECL and Timely go away. This is one of the easier ways to ambush I think we've seen. He just needs to make sure, he can keep his hand, keep drawing cards. Probably when he flips, maybe you're playing some plot cards so you don't waste cards in your hand that turn kind of thing. But ambush is just, the strongest ability in the game, right? So he's giving it for just discarding cards, not well, or discarding a high cost card on his leader side, right? That's not too bad. I think he has a place in the meta.
And I do think he is one of the leaders that we're going to see a lot of in early PQs. I think it's Inferno 5 and the BDS ST team are already putting videos out around him as a blue force base. I've run into it a few times. You see Super Laser Tech ambushed on the second turn almost every time, discarding a Yoda
Yeah.
or a Luke, and then that coming back with a Palpatine's Return. Very powerful. And then, like you said, it activates Anakin. You still get the overwhelming barrage, craving power, all of these types of things that blue green villainy loves.
The
Go ahead.
the only thing that could hold him back is the stats are not great for 7, right? He's not coming out and being a Yoda or a Vader or a Palpa turn later, right? That really takes control of the board, right? He's more going to be reliant on cards in his hand to kind of ambush in with him as he deploys, or big plot cards as well. But I think, yeah, but I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it handles the more aggressive decks because this needs a little bit of time to develop. Some of the things, the early Sentinels, the 3-cost Sentinel that boosts as it kills things, you could start to see those ambushed out on 3, giving it a bigger unit on board, helping it get to its deploy. So it'll be really interesting to see what people do with it, and definitely has some potential.
Yeah, I do think there's a leader that is happy that Force Throw's gone.
Oh
So
yeah,
he's not discarding more cards of his hand. So if a big discard like Quinlan comes back in the meta or something like that with Ahsoka and Spark, that might hurt him, but that's not expected. So he should be pretty good.
Yep. Going to the hero side, we start with Bail Organa. He is an interesting leader that can deploy multiple times. On the front side, it's a 1-cost action. If a friendly unit was defeated this phase, return a friendly resource to its owner's hand. If you do, put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. Also on the front side, action, discard 2 cards from your hand. If you control 4 or more resources, deploy this leader. Then he comes out as a 3/3. When you play a card from your resource, heal 1 damage from your base. So right away, a lot going on with Bail and a lot of interesting ways that you could play him. Jonathan, when you look at this leader, what are your first thoughts?
I think he's weird. Like he's a weird leader. I'm not one that tends to go to the weird leaders that need like a lot of thought to build. That's not me. But I think somebody's going to come in and build this leader. I think he looks better than I thought. Being able to deploy multiple times, 3/3 body. You can't remove him with anything besides like Rival's Fall, which you're not going to waste that on him here. He's going to combo well with a lot of plot cards or with droid manufactory, so you get a lot of droids coming out, or that red base from set 2 that draws a card, right?
Mhm.
So I think there's something here. To me, he's kind of like kind of mid B. Like I think he's better than Java. Mostly just because I think somebody's gonna figure out how to break this leader. And he's pretty interesting. The action on the leader side is a little bit like it's okay. I mean, like it's a pretty good draw. It's basically draw a card, pick a card, draw a card from your resources. With the problem being you can't use that action and as what is supposed to be his epic action at the same turn because
Mhm.
it's not an epic action. So you can't do both actions. You have to choose one. So that might kind of make it a little bit more clunky. But I think there's a good shot here for him.
What are your thoughts, Tommy?
You know, it's interesting when I look at this leader. You know, the leader action reminds me a lot of Hunter's awful leader action. Similarities here, obviously less restrictive, but similar idea of being able to do that action, and
Yeah,
then the idea of
much
multiple
better than Hunter.
deploys.
Much
Well,
better.
yes, it is, but it's in that similar vein. And
Right.
then I look at the multiple deploys and I think of Trench. And yes, there have been a couple Trench decks that have seen some success. However, I actually think
And
they've seen
debatable.
some success in spite of Trench. I don't even remember them deploying Trench multiple times. And so I just wonder where this leader is. Deploying at 4 makes me think that we're trying to do things pretty aggressively. I do think plot switches it up a little bit. And so I'm excited to see again. The plot we currently have doesn't make me so excited that like this is an overwhelming mechanic that we're going to be able to really change games by being able to deploy multiple times. So for me personally, I kind of have it a little bit more in that C range, just because I'm not as excited about building for it.
Yeah, it's an interesting leader because you have to discard 2 cards from your hand to play it. So you have to build a deck that allows you to replenish your hand. Otherwise, there are a lot of new cards and leaders that are hand disruptive, and you can force your opponent into situations where they can't even deploy bail. I do think the currently what we're going to see is the red version with the base that lets you draw a card and deploy. I've ran into that a number of times, and the combination of that allowing them to replenish their hand and the plot cards, this can actually be a very powerful deck, and you can start to run into trouble because there's a lot it does. It heals when it brings a plot card out. It can come out multiple times. It's replenishing its hand. There's some combination there that people are already starting to figure out with that one, and I think in that version it'll be very powerful. I think the droid manufactory is an interesting one, but because there's no way to replenish your hand, you really can't get that many actions out of it, or else you're not doing anything on the board. I think I would agree it probably belongs in this B C tier. Uh, for limited, I think it's horrible. I don't think you can play it at all in limited, but I think
Well,
maybe we'll
he's
put it
a
at the
rare leader
bottom.
anyway, right?
He is a rare leader, yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of people won't most likely won't run into it. Tommy, I do think there's a lot that you can do with it in the constructed path, so I think we'll put it at the bottom of B tier. But in limited,
I'm
I
fine
would
with that.
avoid it at all
Yeah.
costs.
Works for me.
Our next official is Mon Mothma. She is in the vein of previous leaders that allow you to ignore the aspect penalties of non-villainy official units you play, and then on 5 you can bring out this 3/7, and you can ignore non-villainy aspect official for officials, and each other friendly official gets +0/+1. Another 5 cost 3/7. I don't know what they were thinking with our Lama Su again with that 6 cost 3/7, but here's another example of why that doesn't make sense. Tommy, what are your thoughts on Mon and her hand drawing?
Uh, Yeah, you the hand is beautiful as always. We've seen, as you mentioned, a bunch of leaders that have this ability to ignore aspect penalties, and I don't think we've actually seen a successful one yet. But I think Mon actually has the potential. We've seen not just a lot of officials that are coming out this set, but a lot of officials that offer different things. And I think that's the exciting thing for me. Jonathan talked at the beginning about when he's creating his tier list, thinking about what the metas are. I think I sometimes tend to be a little bit more about how excited am I to actually craft around something and see if I can build a deck and do something a little bit more interesting with it. And so, Mon for me provides some interesting things, some different play lines. I'm much more excited about her than any of the aspect penalty leaders that we've seen before. So I think I put her in the B tier.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think initially you read it and you're like, okay, this is just Hera. This is just not gonna be great, right? There's never been a 5 cost 3/7 that hasn't been meta. Like it's Quinlan, it's Django, it's Towson. They've all always been pretty good. So I think that's one kind of positive for her. And I've been messing around with the Unity Purpose kind of double
Mhm.
green version of her, and I think it's pretty good. Like maybe it's just early Carabas testing. What does that mean, right? But she can get a lot of officials out. They can stick. She flips. She plots out. She can play Jar Jar or even Chancellor Palpatine out of aspect, creating more officials, right? Even especially the Chancellor Palpatine that creates 2 spies, which are also officials, and they all get +1 health. And so they're just really sticky. I think there's something here. I don't want to say she's gonna break the meta or anything. Like it's still kind of like a green leader that without a real ability, right? But I think there could be something here. To me, she's somewhere in the B tier, and I don't think she could get any lower than that just based off her stats. I also think for limited, she's really good. Like 3/7 on
Mhm.
5 limited, just you can jam any official that you you draft or you open in your packs and she's great.
I also think she's just a lot of fun to play because you get to play so many different cards that you might not think of. Even the double yellow Chancellor Palpatine can come in
Yeah,
and do some work with it.
Mhm.
I agree. I put out a video a couple days ago with this leader and Unity of Purpose, and you can see how much fun that is. And I think one of the keys is it has more 6 cost cards than Unity of Purpose that help it out a lot. Some healing cards, some other boosting cards. I think we'll talk about those in another video, but there are so many different support cards for a leader like this that you can have a lot of fun with it at your weeklies. You can have It'll be a great limited card. So I'm with you. I would put it up here.
yeah.
I would probably rather play it than Dryden Voss just because I think it's a more fun style, but I understand why Dryden might be more powerful, but it'll be interesting to come back at the end of the set to see if these two should be switched. Moving from our green area, we're going to move into our red villain leaders, starting with Deidre Marrow. She has a very interesting ability. 1 cost action, choose an enemy unit. Its controller may deal 2 damage to it. If they don't, draw a card. She flips on 4 as a 2/5, similar to Sabine. And while you have more cards in hand than an opponent, this unit gains Raid 2. You've both played Sabine quite a bit, so I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about it. Let's start with Jonathan. What are your thoughts?
So this is the leader that I think has risen the most for me, just kind of messing with it the past week or so. There's 2 versions. The double red Target Town, which is a much more kind of aggro based deck, and there's a blue version, either Colossus, which is kind of regular 30 base blue, that is playing much closer to like the Bosk blue of old, kind of like hard control kind of deck. And they're both. I think there's potential for both. I think this leader is really good, and I think she is pushing to be the best leader of the set. Like I think like the forcing your opponent to kind of make the decision, hey, 2 damage or draw a card. Most of these kind of abilities where your opponent has to choose it, they're not always been the best, but I think both of these effects are really good, and you can build your deck around where either one really helps you, right? Like if you're playing aggro and you draw a card, now she comes out and she's hitting for raid 2. She's hitting for 4 damage. That's more than Sabine on turn 4. It's just yeah, I think there's something here with her, and I'm really excited to kind of continue to build around her. And I have her top of A.
Great, thank you.
I
Tommy,
would
what are your
have
thoughts?
to agree with Jonathan, which does hurt a little
That's
bit.
gotta hurt.
But
Very rare. It's very
very,
rare.
very yeah, maybe I need to reevaluate this card now for a second. Give me a moment.
Yeah, D
But
tier, D
no,
tier.
I am very excited about this
Yeah.
card. There's so much about Deidre that plays in a way that I like to play. The forcing my opponent to make a choice. I feel like, especially when they're choices that are both really good for me. I think back to when I was playing some Massage back in set 3 with Political Pressure. It was just such a powerful card early on in those games because there isn't a good choice for your opponent, and it's this same thing, I think, but in the leader ability, so you can do it a whole lot more. Really excited about that. Really excited about the fact that with thinking about that Tarkin Town, that aggro version, where so often I'm going to be flooding the board and it's going to be almost automatic that my opponent's going to have more cards in their hand than I have. So I'm just going to assume that I'm going to have that raid 2. A 4 deploy leader that's attacking for 4 and has a 5 body is pretty big in the game that we've seen so far. So super excited. Would put here definitely at the top of A for me.
Tommy, in this situation, you need to have more cards than your opponent, just to be aware.
Yeah.
To get the raid 2.
Oh,
yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah.
harder.
That is a
Okay,
little harder. So
less
maybe you can go right down to D
excited.
tier. There you go.
I mean, that's built
Now I
exactly around
can.
her ability.
Now I'm really excited for. Yeah.
It's
Maybe we should invite somebody else
Okay.
on instead of Tommy. I
Oh,
don't know.
jeez, this is really
Somebody could.
upsetting.
it's an interesting leader. I think you're both
Yeah.
right that this will be one that is tinkered
Well-
with the most, and we'll probably see a lot early on.
But one of us read the card and one of us didn't.
Well,
so
there's that. That's what makes it fun.
Are we
Yeah.
supposed to read these beforehand?
I haven't.
I am shocked how much my grades have lined up with Jonathan, giving the levels of preparation. So
I have had a chance to play against this leader a number of times, both the double red and the red blue. The red blue drives me crazy. It's such a powerful deck. They get such a big hand unless you just want to deplete your board and your hand all at once, and you have to try and outrace it and what it's doing, and it's very difficult to do. It'll be interesting to see how it continues. I agree that this is probably the best leader that we've talked about so far. I am curious because we have not put anything in the S tier. This did not make it to the S tier for either of you. What's stopping it from getting the S tier?
I think it's not going to be good into control. It's just they're not going to care. They're going to take the 2 damage on the unit, like whatever. Like they're not going to let you draw the card. I think that's one thing holding it back. And then I think it's more just waiting for a few other cards to rotate out. Like it's still not going to be as fast as Sabine. That's going to be a problem for it. I think a little bit, but yeah, maybe eventually. Could be.
I do think.
I think for me, it's the fact that you have to have more cards than your opponent is what held it back.
Ah, yes, that.
But she has an ability to draw cards. That's the whole thing.
I do think she's a very interesting limited leader. I don't know if you want her. Drawing cards on a 30-card deck can be good, but can hurt you very quickly as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out as a limited leader too.
I think she can be pretty good in limited, coming out on 4, just giving your opponent that bad choice every turn or so. I think she's gonna be pretty good.
All right, our next leader, which I think I've heard already is the worst showcase we've seen, but let's see what she does otherwise. Governor Price, action 1 cost to ready a token unit and tap her, and then on a 6 cost 4/6. This unit gets +1/+0 for each friendly token unit, and on attack, create a spy token. Tommy, this looks like a leader right up your alley. What do you think?
I am not particularly excited about this leader. Did you actually think I was going to be excited about her?
Nope.
Okay, great. Yeah,
have you read the card though? Have you read the ability?
I'll see if I can trick him.
I just read the card right now and not excited. Yeah, there's nothing. I don't. Token units haven't been impactful. So I don't care about the leader ability, and it's the unit getting +1 for each ready friendly to like that. That is really restrictive. So yeah, not feeling it.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the 6 deploy is awful. If she comes out on 5, maybe that's could help her out here. Paying 1 to ready a token unit is just so bad. Like you're readying a spy unless you have a spy that's like has a dark saber or something. That's just not worth it. And then the worst part is she flips and she gets +1 for each ready friendly token unit. They have to be ready. That's ridiculous. Like you could combine her with like droid manufactory, right? So she flips with 2 droid tokens, but they're not ready, so she doesn't get the +1, and then your opponent's just gonna kill her, and then you're gonna lose. Like to me, this is the worst leader we've seen so far.
Yeah, I do think
Of
a
this
lot
set.
of some of the disclosed cards and some of the plot cards might help it out and get some tokens out with it, but it's going to take so much setup that I think people are gonna be able to plan for it if they're really worried, and it's going to be very easy to stop. So I'm with you. I think it's going to Watch, this is the leader that's going to show up at the top after we've said it's at the bottom.
I'll quit.
Can't wait for Europe. They're gonna make some interesting things with this. I do think it could be a fun Twin Suns card. Governor Price and Vader Pilot could have some fun together, but otherwise, I'm not sure where it fits. Moving to the hero
think
side.
Have fun readying those TIE fighters.
That's right.
I think the only good thing about her is that she's a rare leader, so you're not going to play her in limited either.
Perfect.
There we go. That's her best attribute. I
Yeah.
will not see her at pre-release.
Now, on the hero side of aggression, I think we might have a little bit more fun talking about these. Let's go first to Cassian Andor. A lot of buzz around him. We've seen a lot of videos already. Friendly units that have damage an opponent's base this phase can't be attacked unless they have Sentinel. And then he flips on 6 as a 6/2 Overwhelm Rebel. While you have the initiative, this unit isn't defeated by having no remaining HP and can't be defeated by enemy card abilities. Jonathan, what are your thoughts on Cassian other than you love his showcase?
It is a great showcase. So to me, this was the only leader that could have pushed S for me. I think he's really good. After playing with him a little bit, the only problem with him is Sabine exists. Sabine's still gonna be faster than him. Sabine deploys 2 turns before he does, But when Sabine rotates out, Cassian I think is one of the natural decks to take that spot. I think he pairs really well with Kaz, who we'll talk about probably in later video. Fleet Lieutenant, Rebel Assault. I think he has a lot of potential here, and to me, he's the top of A.
Great,
Oh, he didn't even break into S tier for you.
So I think it's because of Sabine.
Yeah, well, he breaks into S tier for me. This is everything that I love about a card. Cassian was one of the first showcases that I pulled back in the day and was working so hard to try to make a deck that worked for that leader, and it just didn't get there. And so when I initially saw Cassian coming out at a 6 deploy again, got a little bummed, but I'm really excited about the ability. I love cards that do new and interesting things, and this seems like the upgraded version of what we saw in Chirrut before. I think that there obviously is a lot of synergy there with Cinta, but I think there's also synergy with some other cards that I think we'll be talking about later on. Some kind of dark horse picks of some interesting ways that plot could be utilized to get Cassian coming in there. So really excited about Cassian. Can't wait to get him. I will probably be paying too much to get his showcase because I plan on running this quite a bit.
Cassian is such an interesting leader because I think this is the anyone can pick up the game and play leader. His ability is like, hey, just attack their base, right? Attack their base. It protects your units. And then on 6 resources, do a little bit of thinking to make sure you have the initiative long enough to get at least 1 attack in. I think if your opponent plans correctly, it is kind of easy to stop Cassian's attack, but with the right combo, if you can get at least 1 swing in, maybe 2, you probably won the game. There's a video that we put out a couple of days ago with Cassian actually as Data Ball after Jonathan and I were talking, and he pointed out the problem with ECL and Sabine, and I think Data Ball does give this more of an opportunity to hang with those leaders. I think it's going to be very popular early on. I think people are going to continue to tinker with it. It is a rare leader, so you probably won't see it as much as limited, but if someone does pull it, I imagine they're going to be playing it. So fun leader, great for the game. I think a lot of people will be able to pick it up across multiple skill sets, and should be very interesting to see how it plays out.
If we want to talk about my skill as a player, Luke, we can just like call it out. We don't need to like beat around the bush on that sort
That
of
was
stuff.
not about
That's a whole separate video, I
That's
think.
not about
Uh,
you. Sounds like you have some self-conscious things going on there. That was not a comment for you. It was more of a general. It's always good to have a leader that new people can pick up.
You
the
were
game
looking
and enjoy.
directly at me as
Oh,
you
was
said
I?
it, sir.
Well, I can't see
directly.
either of you, so.
I do want to point out one thing about Cassian, his leader side. The friendly units only need to do damage to a base, so it could be through Overwhelm. It could be through Sabine unit from set 1 pinging the base. So I think he's even a little better than just having attacked the base. Like there's some
Little
there's some
indirect as
nuance
well
there, I think
from the 1/3
yeah.
Rebel. Yeah.
Indirect, yeah.
Indirect
as well.
works, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Moving on from Cassian, we have our next leader, Luthen Rail. When a friendly unit is defeated while attacking, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 damage to a unit or base. And then on 5, it flips as a 2/7, something a little different. When a friendly unit is defeated while attacking, you may deal 2 damage to a unit or base. Let's see, Tommy, what are your thoughts on Luthen Rail?
When I remember when Luthen was first spoiled, I was pretty excited about him because it felt like the new aggro leader. The problem for me with Luthen is that he seems to be doing things that you don't want to be doing in an aggro deck. It really requires you to have your units run in and get defeated. And typically, when you're playing an aggro deck, yes, you may want to do some, take out some units, control some board. It was one of the reasons I loved Luke 4 was there was a lot of fun there, but you almost never want to be sacrificing your units. And so it's hard for me to figure out how this is going to really be super impactful. As a leader, initially was thinking that it was going to be kind of in that B range for me, but I think he dropped down into the C range as we started to see the rest of the leaders getting released.
Yeah, I think I'll agree there. He was one that I was kind of excited for. I like the character, right? The show's great. I was kind of hoping there's something here, but there's not a lot of synergy, right? Like he worked with heroic sacrifice. That's the big one. So that's +2 for 1, and then you get another +2 damage. So that's pretty good. And then there's that new like the 3/3 rebel unit that I think they have an ability that they can basically die to do an extra
Mhm.
2 damage to the
Mhm.
base. So he works with 2 cards. It's just he's not that good, unfortunately. And I wish he was, but yeah, to me he's kind of a mid C tier leader. Maybe there's something there, but I'm not seeing it yet.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need a lot of help because like you said, heroic sacrifice is probably the best card for him, and that's going to rotate out. And then
Right.
they introduced a couple of cards that self-sacrifice. So unless there's more of that coming, I'm not sure where this belongs. Do you think it'll see a lot of play in limited?
Maybe he has 7 health. He might be okay.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it was
If
either
you want to
or.
go red heroism, like because Cassian's are rare, like you might be
Yeah,
the only one you get. So, and that happens sometimes. It's not an awful leader in terms of that. The stat line's a little funky, but I guess it's got a big body and will stick around.
yeah. I
Oh,
think if they did when a friendly unit is defeated and just left it at that, then this leader would be fine.
Yeah.
mhm.
But with
Yeah,
the
and
extra piece, hurts aggression.
it's kind of weird that they only give him 2 attack instead of 3 attack. That's standard for these 5
Right.
cost
Mhm.
leaders. It's
Worse
a little
ability
weird.
and then worse stats. It's very odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving over to Cunning, we'll start with maybe the best showcase. I know Cassian's up there too, but we'll look at Sly Moore.
Oh, a showcase version.
It was
Oh,
the only one
yeah.
out at the time when I was putting this
Fancy.
together, so it made it up here. But now
Hmm.
it makes it harder for me
Someone
to
has
read
money.
what's happening. Action 1, tap it. If there are 4 more exhausted units in play, create a spy token. Comes out on 5 as a 3/6. On attack, it may deal 2 damage to an exhausted unit. Oof. Jonathan, what do you think? Other than the showcase being
Sounds
great.
weird. Yeah, I'm gonna say this showcase is fantastic. Like, I really want this showcase. I would never play her. She's awful. Like, 5 cost, 3/6. Yeah, what are we doing here? Have the action being pay 1, you have to have 4 more exhausted units to create a spy token. Like, I guess maybe this works for limited. Maybe this is what it's designed for. But that's not a good ability. The on attack on the unit side, that was not bad. Just being able to kind of do a kind of nice ping on attack there to exhaust the units, but I'm just not excited to play her. Think she's in the a D tier.
Tell me, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with Jonathan on this one. There is not much to be excited about with Slymore. I
Besides the
can't
showcase.
believe they went. What?
Besides the showcase, that's
Besides the
the only.
showcase, of course.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's a very pretty showcase with a horrible leader, so Luke will pull it. It'll be available. I just can't believe they went 4 or more exhausted units. It's such a steep cost to be able to do that, and a resource. It's just it seems really really difficult. Again, the unit side is okay in terms of the ability, but understated again for a 5 cost deploy. So not excited about Slymore at all.
I do think the leader, the on attack ability is great. Anytime you can
Mhm.
just do damage is super interesting, but probably wasted, I think, with everything else that's going on with it. Another one you might start to see in Twin Suns, just paired with General Pride or others like Vader, where they're going to end up with a lot of tokens out there. But unless they bring out more cards in future sets that let you flood the board with these small units, it's going to be pretty tough. So we'll put it
Yeah.
down here. You
One
think?
thing to note about her, she is force for what it's worth. So
Oh, very nice.
maybe
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
something.
Where do you guys think within the D tier?
I had it
above
pretty low.
Lama Su.
Right here.
I had it below Lamasu, but
Oh,
I'm not gonna.
Oh,
I'm not.
Showcase
I
is
don't care
moving
that
her
much
ahead.
either way.
Showcase is moving her ahead.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. The showcase makes her better.
And she is the only cunning villainy leader in the set, which is interesting.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
they all get banned, so they just
That's
stop
right.
making them.
Not this one. All right, our next leader, which I think is everybody's favorite so far, is C3PO. We can see action, pay 1 and tap it. If you control an exhausted unit, exhaust a unit. It flips on 4 as a 1/6. On attack, if you control another exhausted unit, you may exhaust a unit. Tommy, I know you love them droids. What do you think?
Oh, this is so exciting for C3PO to be coming out. I'm so glad that this S tier doesn't have anything in it yet because we can finally fill it in. Because let me tell you, if you can get Babu Frick out, this thing swings for 6 on deploy. It's amazing. And it triggers perfectly. It's a card that's beautifully built for that. If you don't have that perfect synergy of that one card that happens to work, it's absolutely useless. So I don't know if we should be hinging an entire game plan around one particular card that only has 4 health and is most likely going to be targeted, and there's nothing else you can do that's worthwhile with it. But simply on the basis of that, I'm at least putting him in C tier.
Jonathan, how do you respond to that?
I think this is the worst leader in the set, and I think this is the worst leader of maybe all time. This is just so garbage that yes, he combines with
Babu!
Babu. Babu makes him okay. like yeah, Babu being a 1/4/2 cost that's just gonna immediately get killed when they see him because like that's the only thing this deck is gonna do. It's like he's so bad. This is so bad. One
But just
attack.
imagine for a second that I have the Babu playmat from the sectors with Babu hyperspace foil and the showcase. I mean, it's so much amazing art. Maybe they're blinded by it and they can't respond.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna be ruling the bottom tables, I think, with that deck down. But like, I just don't get it. Like, why did they force the having to have control an exhausted unit, right? Like, if you know if you didn't have to do that, if you could just exhaust a unit for one, that'd actually be pretty good because then you can exhaust their best unit right away, right? But now you can't. Like, they're gonna get an attack with whatever unit they want first, and then you can exhaust their second or the third best unit, and it's just like. Yeah, he's not doing anything. The one attack when he deploys is not doing anything. He's bad. To me he's the worst leader in the set.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
What if he is a no good to be dead anti tech? That's right. See, if your opponent has played no good to be dead on you, well, you have initiative, you can actually do it right away. You already have an exhausted. Oh my goodness,
Oh
we have
man,
multiple things that's going for him. It's
I've
amazing.
actually had a chance to play test with C3PO a little bit, and I do not think it's the worst leader in the set. I think it sits
Ooh,
in the BC tier. I actually think as a 4 deploy, if you ignore the Babu Frick piece, which I think
whoa,
is not great,
oh,
as a 1/4 cunning leader, there's a lot of things you can do to push damage, and you're putting out a lot of units fast. You can take some advantage of the C3PO to gain tempo and get in front of an opponent, and I think you can win games before they're expecting. I think that's the
But you're
only
mostly
way
just
this leader
you,
works.
yeah,
Go
you're
ahead.
mostly just talking up the yellow heroism cards.
hundred
Like
percent. But as a
those
four
cards are good
deploy,
cards. That's
you could bring him out with the plot 3/0 attachment, and he's a 4/6 coming out on his turn. So I do think that that can be very powerful. And then if you hot shot blaster the next turn, you're hitting for 4, and then you're hitting for 7 with him, and people aren't expecting it. And at the same time, you're flooding the board with other units that they're distracted by. And when he is deployed, that on attack can be pretty powerful. I've just in the video we put out, there are some games where you wouldn't expect to win, but you're tapping something that they're expecting to tap for attack for 7 with, and you're slipping in and getting that final damage. I just think there's more to it than it being the worst leader. I'm putting it up here, and I think it could go up higher. It'll be interesting to see. But you are right,
oh, I'm
Jonathan.
so excited.
It is because there are so many powerful, fast hitting pieces in the cunning heroism part that I think it could have some legs, and it comes out so early. Our next leader is Padme.
So, Luke, you're agreeing with me and disagreeing with Jonathan, just so
I
everyone's
actually
on
disagreed
board.
with both of you. I think your lines are
No,
gonna be wrong, and I think
no.
Jonathan is
I
is there's something there.
I
Uh,
ignored the portion where you were being mean to Babu.
Here's another leader who's like a set base leader along with Chancellor Palpatine is Padme. A lot of cards coming out to support this leader. When you reveal or discard one or more cards from your hand, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, deal 1 damage to a unit. And then on 6, she comes out as a 3/8. When you reveal or discard one or more cards from your hand, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. Tommy, here's Padme. What do you think of her?
I like the fact that her leader ability doesn't require an action. You know, triggered leader abilities are always nice. Once again, going back to that action economy, I think there's a lot of opportunities here to do some reveal and discard, and so there's something along those lines. And yet, I don't find her all particularly interesting. A stat line of 3/8 on a 6 deploy, needing to do or have those things happen, and being able to do 1 damage to a unit on both sides just doesn't feel impactful in the meta in terms of what we're doing. I don't think she's bad, but I am not at all excited about her. I think I put her at kind of C/D.
Jonathan, what are your
Well,
thoughts?
she's not that bad. So she was one for a while, kind of when they were spoiling leaders. I thought she was the best leader, right? Until they started spoiling a few of these other good leaders. Though I think she's one that's probably slipped the most for me after messing with a little bit. I again, I don't think she's bad. Uh, and I but I think she kind of feels like worse Quinlan to me. Like it's just like a little harder to pull off. She comes out a turn later. Yeah, she has 1 extra health, but it's the same colors. But then when you do play around with her, she does combo well with like R2D2 from set. Was this 2 or 3?
Mm-hmm.
The one that he can discard and to draw a card. She combos well with a lot of new cards. She comes well with Tarkin Town, obviously. So I'm kind of torn on her. I I kind of have her as a bottom of A, top of B.
Hmm.
Just because worse Quinlan is still good. Like so, I think she's not bad. She just might be overshadowed by Quinlan. So I'm kind of fine with either of those. I'm maybe top of B or maybe top of B makes sense.
I do think her 6 cost hurts her a lot here, and the reveal can happen when she's deployed because of plot, but you're not revealing cards that often. I guess if there are enough disclosed cards that you can pair with her, you can get a lot out of that ability. So I think there's going to be a lot of tinkering, and you'll probably see a list that's powerful. But I actually think the other Padme leader from a few sets ago got stronger with this set coming out and is probably better than this Padme. So I struggle with where to place this
I don't
one.
know about that.
Ooh, that's my hot take. What do
I
you
don't
think?
agree with that. No,
I think this takes too long to come out, and
disagree.
there's a lot of actions you have to have happen to get the right value out of her, and is a little slower. I think in the aggression meta that we'll probably see,
But
she'll struggle, and then she'll struggle into the mid control.
so disclose is supposed to be kind of a downside, but Padme turns that into an upside. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
that 3/3 new Mandalorian that on attack you have to disclose or you do damage to your own base.
Yep.
That's just really good for Padme. That's just not a downside at all. And there's a few other cards like that. The Faith in Your Friends. What's it? You disclose a bunch of yellow and
Yeah, it's
hero cards, or you
three
draw and
cunning.
yeah,
Yeah.
you draw disclose. You get 2 spies. It pings with Padme. I think there's something there. It's inconsistent. It's a little bit less consistent than Quinlan. But I don't think she's as low as think you guys are saying she
I
is. So,
think she curves well into 4 or 5 resources and then stops. And maybe that'll change, but it'll be
but
interesting to
that's kind of
see.
just yellow.
Yeah, I can see that. So I think it sounds like B tier. I
Sure.
think she belongs somewhere in here.
I think she's
Probably
top of
ahead.
B, but
Top of B.
whatever you guys want.
We'll put it right there. Right there at the top of B. How do you think she'll do in limited? I think she'll probably do pretty well.
Yeah, I think she's fine for limited.
Yeah. I think she's stronger in limited than constructed for me.
All right, our next and last hero leader is Sabe. I believe that's right. When a friendly unit deals combat damage to a base, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of the defending player's deck, discard 1 and put the other on top. She comes out on 5 as a 3/6 with raid 1. When this unit deals combat damage to a base, look at the defending player's hand. You may discard a card from it. If you do, that player draws a card. Jonathan, what are your thoughts?
So this is another one that I was really excited for, and she kind of dropped a little bit for me. I still think she's good, but I don't think she's as good as these other three leaders in A. I have her as top as B, a top of B, mostly because her ability on the leader side is interesting and good, but it's just sometimes you just don't know if it's doing anything. Like, yeah, you're discarding one of their top two cards, but I don't know, you might be helping them. It's too bad it's not a May. Like, if you could, I mean, it's a May exhaust, but once
Interesting.
you exhaust, like, you have to discard one of the top two cards. Like, if it's just two resupplies and there's turn 10, you kind of want to leave one of the resupplies there, but
That's right.
unfortunately you can't, you know? But on her leader unit side, that ability is really good. That's just basically a free Bazine whenever you attack the base. And that side is pretty good. But I think overall, she kind of just feels like another yellow hero. It's gonna have all those good cards, surprise strike. Maybe she has a little bit more discard kind of cards you put in the deck. The average top of B.
Tommy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think bottom of A, top of B is kind of where I have her sitting for me. I love the colors. I actually really like her stat line coming out on 5. I think 3/6 with a raid 1 for what you're looking to do with this sort of a deck feels really good. I think being able to, anytime you can disrupt what your opponent's trying to do, I hear what Jonathan's saying in terms of looking at those top 2 cards. Maybe you're helping them actually dig to something that's even better that's further down there. But also there are, especially with these kinds of decks that are trying to play a little bit faster, there are specific cards that you'd really like to remove. And so the ability to be able to do that with that action and then being able to get the free discard out of the hand is always really powerful. I think about how many times in this yellow color we were looking at Jam Communications, we were looking at Spark of Rebellion, like those sorts of things where it's built into this card is just huge value for me. So I think I'd put her in that grouping of those A's at the bottom of it for me personally, but I'd be okay with her at top of B.
Yeah, I do think that that's the right placement. I think because she is cunning, you could probably put her at the back of this because she gets Hot Shot Blaster and other things like that. Uh, I have played a lot with this leader and tested out. Just today, released a Rebel version of her, which I think works really well because you want to hit fast with this leader while disrupting what your opponent is trying to do, but you have to pay very close attention to what you're filtering out because the flip side of what Jonathan was talking about is sometimes there's two really good cards and you want to get rid of both, and you have to remember which one you got rid of to so you can set your next plays up too. So there's a lot going on with this leader that lets you play with the board state both for yourself and your opponent, and I think people are going to have a lot of fun with it. I also think people are going to be very thankful that it's a rare leader because in limited, this is probably a disaster for your opponent.
Yeah,
Limited
this is
card
super
deck,
good limited.
it'd be insane. So if you're able to pull this in limited, I think you're in great shape. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting decks coming out with this across multiple colors. And it's just a lot of fun to play with. Our last leader is the first of its kind, which is a double aspect leader in DJ, double cunning, no hero, no villain. Action, choose a friendly unit. If you do, play a unit from your hand, it costs 1 less. The chosen unit captures it. On 6, it deploys as a 4/6 Saboteur. Friendly units that are rescued enter play ready. Tommy, what are your thoughts on DJ?
I am excited to build DJ. I'm really excited about new mechanisms. I don't know that he's going to actually be powerful. It's hard to see where he actually breaks into any meta, but I think there's interesting play lines for him. I think the idea of you capturing your own units is a thing that we haven't seen a whole lot, but we will see it in a couple cards that I'm also excited about. That I'm also excited about Jonathan shaking his head at when we talk about those. It's just exciting for me to see different things. Jonathan talked before about Quinlan and that power, and so often we're just comparing these new cards to whether or not they're doing the same things that we've seen in previous ones. I'm excited about new mechanics. I'm excited about us using mechanics in different ways, and I think the idea of capturing your own units is exciting for me. I am not sure that it's actually valuable in terms of what it's doing, but at least it doesn't cost anything to do it, so there's some value there.
Jonathan, I know how much you like these complicated leaders. What are your thoughts on DJ?
This was my second worst leader of the set, only better than C2PO. I think he seems interesting, and I think initially like, okay, yeah, the paying one less. He makes a like a Russian nesting doll. You put everything under one unit. You have that unit blow up while DJ's deployed, and then you get a bunch of ready units out to attack. But there's just so many problems with that. One, the double aspect. A lot of the best cards in the game have heroism or villainy, and he's not gonna be able to play those. And it's just so you're stuck with a bunch of single aspect yellow, or maybe you pair them with red or blue or whatever. And then yes, you got the double yellow cards that are good. Cunning, of course, Bodhi. But they're going to rotate out soon, and every time they make more double aspect cards, they're not good. Can't remember any other double yellow uh, cards after set one that were any good.
Final showdown.
Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Sure. And then so he's just and then he's a 4/6 on 6. Yeah, he's Saboteur, but who cares? It's just he's gonna be fun. He's gonna be too complicated. He's not gonna do what you want to do like every time. Like he'll do it once where you put everything under his ship. I think is a Libertine or something like that. That will come in. You stuff everything under there. That will get all powerful. You deploy him. You blow the ship up. You get a bunch of units and yay. But most of the time, I think he's not gonna be it. I personally I think he's in D tier.
I do think this is one leader like Chancellor Palpatine from the earlier sets that every set people will be like, okay, what new cards came out? Is there something I can do with it? I agree. It's going to be very complicated to set up, and who knows if you'll get the payoff. One of the interesting things is you're playing a card before it's captured, so you do get its ability. So there could be
Yeah,
something
that's
there,
true.
right? You're playing a Cantina Bouncer, you get to bounce something, and then the Cantina Bouncer is captured. So you can do that on 4. Stuff like that could help it do something, but there's so much that needs to happen for it to work, and I don't think it
Yeah,
has
and,
any
and the
play unlimited.
problem the problem with ability there, yeah, there's no play unlimited for this card for sure. But the other problem is it doesn't work with ambush units because the unit's gone, so it can't ambush. So that's some of the best abilities in the game. There's ambush, and he's just not gonna synergize with that at all.
Yeah, I agree.
It feels a little bit like Qui-Gon from last set. Um, you know, Felt really excited about that leader. Potentially some interesting things that could happen, but just never came up with the right deck for it.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, that is our tier list uh, for Secrets of Power. Pretty even distribution, actually, when we look at it. No S tiers. I think for now, as we sit today with every card still in the game, it'd be hard to have an S
Yeah.
tier from this list, but eventually I think that can change. What are your guys' thoughts as you look through this list? Pretty happy with where we landed?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a shot that Cassian and Dedra, could push S, or even Dryden Voss. Other people are very excited about that leader. There's, they could make a kind of a meta impact here. Otherwise, I think that list looks pretty fair to me. Besides C3PO, I think he should be in,
You'll
S
see.
tier, FFF
Oh,
tier.
you'll
But
see.
yeah, yeah, I'll be very surprised. But other than that, I think it's a pretty fair list.
Tommy, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm actually excited about the distribution on it. I'm excited about kind of already kind of rethink about what this would be post rotation because I think it does shift it up quite a bit. Thinking about what this would do on post rotation, and I think that's where I'm starting to get excited, not just about this grouping of leaders, but some of the leaders that we've seen in 4 and 5 that are also going to all of a sudden kind of storm to the front and be able to be playable in a way that we haven't been able to just because there are things like Quinlan that are out there. They're just going to be a better version of what we're doing in those colors.
Right. I will say one more thing that I'm kind of excited for is I think initially when the set was spoiled, all the leaders were looking pretty bad. Like I was pretty down on these leaders making an
Mm.
impact, and I'm kind of surprised. After we look, we play test a little bit. Some new leaders were shown. Like no, we got a nice distribution here, right? You got A's and B's, and they got a shot here at making some impact.
Yeah, I will say after testing some of them, the set is a lot of fun. And if nothing else, it's
Right.
bringing a lot of new things to the game that people will enjoy playing, and I hope they continue to build off of it. I just want to thank you both, Jonathan and Tommy, for joining. This is the first time we've ever
Aw.
done this. I think it was a lot of fun. Hopefully, people watching liked it and they want to subscribe and continue to watch our other videos. We're going to keep producing content like this, as well as live gameplay and some Carabas streaming. So, thank you both for joining, and thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day.